Christopher Disciple Allen, and this is Disciple's Quest to become the very best shoutcaster ever. I'm excited for yet another day. This is going to be day number 16. We are pounding through this, aren't we? This is going to be a lot of fun. We're casting some placement matches. They might get a little bit crazy since the soft MMR reset was today. But we are going to hop into what were some previously Diamond 1 players, and we'll go ahead and check out who they are right now. And taking a look at these teams, over on the blue team, we have CTP Treason supporting Yuda and Goofed in the bottom lane, playing Leona and Jinx respectively. Curse One Bad Brad will be top lane, playing Mundo. XDG's Scubachris will be jungling Lee Sin, and then Lacey Shadow of No Dice Gaming going to be mid on that Nidalee. Over on the purple team, we will have LMQ's Vasily playing AD carry Lucian, supported by what looks like a support LeBlanc from LMQ Moore. Then Broken Shard will be jungling that Vi. Kimchi, K for Kimchi, will be top lane on Warwick, and Tabule probably going to be playing in mid lane Ezreal there. A little bit of a bizarre team composition on red team, but certainly going to be exciting. If we see this Lucian LeBlanc lane, who knows? This could be something we are seeing going into the Challenger Series, which does begin up tomorrow. And it's hopefully going to be a lot of fun. Now, LMQ will be participating in that. Sees a couple players from there. And I'm actually not sure where exactly everyone else will be participating. But definitely some high-level players, some good plays. Breaking down some of these team compositions, we can take a look over at our purple team, who have a support LeBlanc and a mid lane Ezreal, and I feel like they'll most likely be going for some very early aggression, early poking. If they get into the late game, they could suffer for having really a lack of much of a tank. Warwick can build tanky, and so can Vi, but they're really meant for making plays near the early game, where Warwick can lock someone down for an excruciatingly long time, as can Vi, diving in rather far. However, if the blue team is allowed to extend the game, even though they have the early game of Lee Sin, that's more of a padding for their overall late game of the siege from Nidalee and Jinx, comboed by a really solid front line coming out of Leona, Mundo, and Lee Sin's eventual transition there. And so, Jinx is pretty much strong at every point in the game, but as Jat was talking about earlier today, Jinx is pretty much a late game hyper carry at this point. He compared it to the likes of Tristana, kind of going for those resets, using the excellent attack speed and range to be able to kill someone, then get excellent mobility. Tristana has it in the form of her rocket jump, but Jinx has it in that get excited passive, so she can then run forward or run back, dodging away from the enemy team. And this team is a hard one to dodge away from, that's for sure. If you look at this, pretty much you have three heavy diving assassins. If you want to classify Warwick as that, I would, just because of his Infinite Duress ultimate. But Vi's Assault and Battery and LeBlanc's ability to jump in and deal massive damage, comboed with the mobility from a double AD carried team that Ezreal and Lucian post, definitely going to be difficult to jump around. But if you can position yourself through that, the damage and the overall balance from this blue team looks to put them in a slightly stronger position. In the end, though, it will really just rely on how these teams play it out, exactly how they can carry out their compositions, their champions, and I always like to see where Lee Sin goes early on. Early on in the game, Scubachris' Lee Sin is going to have a lot more room to play aggressively than Broken Shard's Vi. Even though Vi has a very powerful early game, the damage that comes out of the Sonic Wave and Resonating Strike, and the mobility you get from two gap closers, is just so incredibly powerful that Scubachris is really going to be able to just jump around the map early on, making plays, and then hopefully use that to buy some early items, use Lee Sin's great scaling and overall fight control to bring them to a strong mid game, where then Jinx and Nidalee can take over, sieging into a late game. If we take a look at this blue team, they're coming around an interesting way. They want to try to catch someone out, but Warwick does spot them and ping them out. K for Kimchi going to go ahead and notify the team. And it is interesting seeing some more Warwick, and I suspect with Darian's recent successes on Warwick in the LCS over in Europe, that Warwick will make a bit of a resurgence. I don't know that he'll be the new flavor of the month, but he'll certainly see some gameplay. Darian finally did net out a ban of Warwick against him, which was his, I think, going to be his best success throughout the LCS, no matter what his team score is. The red team has now moved down here for the invade. And there's a Vault Breaker from Vi. They don't have vision, though, so I'm not sure he's going to... Oh, wow, the jump over the wall missed from Moore. Isn't going to have that. Now Treason moving in onto Broken Shard. They don't know there's 4 members of the team here in the bush, though. There's a lot of red damage going across. Broken Shard really wants this buff, though. Scubachris will... Oh, wow, Moore falls low. The passive drops, and Lacey's Shadow is there. Oh, the red buff going over to Scubachris, who then grabbed the first blood. Vasily had to flash over the wall. Moore going on to Treason, though. Tries to get the auto text, but the flash over is going to counter that. Lacey Shadow takes the kill out with the javelin. And oh, you done goofed. Flashes over the wall. Grabs the kill on Vasily. A lot of action, but a huge start for our blue team. Like I said, these placement matches might get a little bit hectic, and we're certainly starting out that way. Really great play by blue team. I especially would like to commend Treason for his ability to flash over the wall instantly, bait out Moore, and just get himself to such a low health that he really just forced the enemy team to a bad position, a really bad position. I'm sure as soon as Jinx flashed over the wall, he shouted, "Oh, you done goofed," because he... I mean, grabbing out a first kill against your laning opponent that early is just going to be a huge, huge advantage here for the blue team. They haven't bought yet, which is why Jinx is just recalling now, and it will give Lucian a chance to at least catch up on some farm. However, it's still a pretty rough spot for this LMQ bot lane to be in, and we'll have to see how they can recover. Right now, this passive farming is the best option, and this place where they have the lane frozen is solid, especially with leaving that cannon minion alive. It's going to keep it there for as long as possible, but now there are more minions for red team. No, there actually aren't. I didn't see the whole picture there, and so this is going to be a really solid spot for them to keep it out for a while and try to get up some experience. I've now adjusted everyone on the scoreboard so you can go ahead and compare and see the effects from that first blood, but it did result in quite a few potions and the double Doran's build from Oh You Done Goofed, who's hopefully going to use that to win his lane at this point. The minion's finally going to press for the red team. Wow, Vasily gets caught up by the snare there. Oh, You Done Goofed with a good amount of damage from the double Dorans is able to go in. Oh, the dive up on the K for Kimchi. He's going to escape and not take that, actually force out a lot of damage onto the enemy team. K for Kimchi can look to stay up here because of Warwick's natural sustain. Oh, Broken Shard moving in. The flash from One Bad Brad, and then the safeguard. Broken Shard unfortunately cannot carry on. He's going to have to just help K for Kimchi clear out this lane, try and push it up to the turret to deny some farm to One Bad Brad, but a really good reaction to that gank, going to keep both of them from dying and leave them in their 1,000 gold advantage. Now Moore going in on the Oh You Done Goofed, and he could be in a rough spot, but Moore doesn't have his flash, doesn't have Ignite. The auto attacks are coming down, but they aren't enough. The dash in from Vasily going to go into turret range, but it is Moore who tanks up one, doesn't get the second. Oh, but the dash over, Treason grabs the kill, is going to continue on to Vasily, has the shield, and the damage is going to come across for a bit. Let's see if he can get this snare he wants to look for. I'm not sure Vasily can dodge out of it. Oh, he tries, but it's too late, and Treason's going to take up his second kill. A 2-0 into Leona, the richest member on the board here. K for Kimchi and One Bad Brad fighting up quite a bit, but there is Broken Shard here for the defense. One Bad Brad tries to turn on the K for Kimchi, but the movement speed is too fast. He did throw up that the passive scent, which does give him increased movement speed when someone is around on low health, and that did help him to escape from One Bad Brad's cleavers and net a kill. So 2 kills returned for the red team, but 2 gained in exchange. It is still going to be rather even. However, the gold has dropped by a couple of hundred, and as long as the blue team can keep this advantage, they should be good. But if they continue to lose it by just 100 or a little bit at a time, then red team could most certainly make their resurgence. A first blood is most certainly not the end of the game, but it's just not a great beginning either. Scubachris moving in here towards the bottom lane, and Moore doesn't have his flash up yet. Scubachris with the excellent gank, taking up the kill with the execute damage from the resonating strike. And really, like I said, you have to look at how the jungler will move around the map, and he immediately netted the first blood on Broken Shard, and then has used that to claim another couple of kills for his team. That 2-0-2 score going to be really, really important for Lee Sin early on. Brad keeps on pushing out this top lane, and he has to be careful that he doesn't get ganked once again by Broken Shard. He did throw a ward down here in the Tribush, which will help him out a bit, but Broken Shard can always, Vault Breaker over the Baron Wall, or even just run around near the mid lane, since that isn't warded up by his Nidalee, by Lacy Shadow. Oh, the fight could be going up top. There's an infinite duress on the One Bad Brad. Kimchi's trying to chase on. He has a movement speed from the hunger, but he knows he can't catch on as long as One Bad Brad keeps landing those cleavers. Tabule doing a good job just trying to farm out this middle lane. Is a little bit ahead in farm to Nidalee, who is currently roaming bottom. Lacy Shadow moving in onto Moore, does a huge amount of damage, pops the passive immediately, and Moore sends his clone into the bush for some vision. Shadow takes it out just in case. Taking a look at K for Kimchi, that is the Blood Scent is the name of that passive, as I did have a little mistake on there earlier. Now Yudon Gooft and Treason with a very aggressive positioning, trying to take out this tower and see if they can find any more kills on this bottom lane. Definitely a rough spot for Lucian and LeBlanc to be in. If LeBlanc can't go in and burst down the AD carry 100 to 0, then there's really not a reason to have a support LeBlanc, unfortunately, since she won't really scale unless she gets a lot of kills. Now Lacy Shadow, ooh, with some good damage with the Javelin on the Tabule. And wow, with that Cougar form really dealing a good amount. Now Scubachris is on to Broken Shard, who tries the Vault Breaker over, tries to turn on the Lacy Shadow, actually, and with the, oh wow, the True Shot Barrage doing enough damage, Scubachris being forced to flash away, Tabule flashing away as well. The attack range is there from Oyudon Gooft, but the movement speed might not be. Scubachris comes back around and nets it with the Dragon's Rage. Very good play, but Moore jumping over the wall shuts down Scubachris, but could fall in return. The vision is on there. They know it's her. Treason tries to flash away, is going to fall. Double kill for Moore, going to help put him back in the game, but a 2 for 2 in the end. No, a 3 for 2 actually, because Lacy Shadow did die first. So it will be a good way to help Red Team get back in here. They are only now 500 gold behind. And so, like I said, if they continue to even out that gold advantage, then it really will mean less and less. You don't have to do the team fights, but unless they can make something happen with those team fights soon, then, oh, you done goofed. Tries to throw this Mega Death Rocket. Broken Shard is a little bit too smart for that snipe, though, and he's not going to find that easy kill. And now it looks like Blue Team is pinging out the Dragon. They know that Broken Shard is on low health and likely has to recall here. K for Kimchi is also stuck in the top lane. One Bad Brad's teleport is up soon in case a fight were to break out. And this is a really good read from the Blue Team. They see that the middle lane, Ezreal, is still there. They know Broken Shard is back, and they see an opportunity to claim that Dragon. That's going to put themselves over 1,000 gold ahead, and that's really what they need to cement their lead in the game. If they can turn this into tower soon, then that will really put them in a commanding position for a team that ultimately is going to scale a little bit better. Taking a look at this farm, it's actually really even across the map. In the bottom lane, it's only separated by 4. In the mid, it's just by 5. In the top lane, it's a little bit more, to be fair. K for Kimchi has claimed about a 12 minion lead, which is going to equate to about 2 waves. One Bad Brad isn't doing quite so well, but once One Bad Brad can go, oh, now Broken Shard moving in, and that's most likely going to be a dead One Bad Brad. Assault and Battery, he has the movement speed, but he's slowed by the red buff, and the Blood Scent from K for Kimchi is there. Scubachris comes back, wow, the Dragon's Rage going to push K for Kimchi back, save his teammate. I thought for sure One Bad Brad was dead, but you can't underestimate the Mundo. And with that flash and with that sadism ultimate, he managed to survive that one. I am as surprised as you are. Lacy Shadow going rather aggressively on the Tabule, landing the Javelin, doing solid damage in the mid, is going to hopefully bring him up to the level that Ezreal is at. But he's been able to at least stay alive in this mid lane for quite some time and continue to farm up. He will have a really good mid-game spike once he can grab that Trinity Force and the Mira Mana. But into the late game, the siege from Nidalee will most likely be stronger just due to the incredible damage from that Javelin toss, as well as the range being able to shoot it from well outside of the range of any wards or vision. One Bad Brad not sustaining up top here nearly as well as K for Kimchi. Going to leave K for Kimchi just a lot of room in his ability to farm this up. However, if One Bad Brad does use that teleport, he could make the change in a team fight. That right now K for Kimchi just can't, being stuck up in that top lane, farming up a huge wave. There's some silly business going down in the bottom lane. Lazy Shadow and Scubachris realize they want to make a move for this turret, and so they are going to force the LMQ players off of it. Lazy Shadow does move back to the middle lane, afraid of what Tabule could do to the turret, as they do claim the very first turret of the game for the blue team, bringing themselves up to about a 1,500 gold advantage. Well, they're going to get it. There it is. There it is. Actually, only 1,100 gold. It's not worth nearly as much, and I'm not sure they were in the gold from it. I don't entirely know the radius, but it looks like they didn't get quite as much gold as they would have hoped. They're now just going to roam around the map, hoping to claim their next turret. And with Treason and Scubachris tanking it up, they might not be in too much of trouble. Broken Shard had to use that Ballbreaker back, afraid of what the blue team could do to him. The True Shot Barrage comes across just a wave clear, but this is going to be a lot of the turret for the blue team. They don't quite have enough to finish it off here, but the next wave could certainly spell that for them. Lacy Shadow with the solid javelin tosses. Oh, taking Broken Shard down to below half. Treason just walks in to tank some shots, allow Oyud and Goof to use the range from that fish bones to be able to chunk down the turret. And this is going to be the turret on this wave for the blue team, unless red team can really mount a full defense, but with the damage from the javelin tosses, they really cannot. And now Oyud and Goof going to go in, tries to land the zap, can't quite get it. That might even be a dead Tabule. With all the damage and mobility coming out from this blue team, Broken Shard finally going to defend up here. Treason falling low, actually. Moore going in, not doing too much damage, though. Now Tabule going in aggressively. The Solar Flare turns around on the Moore, though. The damage from Oyud Ungoofed is going to try to be enough. The culling coming across Oyud Ungoofed in a rough spot is going to fall. Tabule taking up the Javelin. Moore sending out the clone ahead and not going to fall. A solid play from red team, claiming at least one kill. Not going to put them back in the game, but at least keep their turret safe. Moore just playing out in front now. Definitely having to be careful using that to go backwards. And now the recalls from red team are going to come out where they can hopefully buy up a little bit. The mid lane, Ezreal here is going for a Trinity Force, as well as his AD carry Lucian. Also building up a Trinity Force there, getting rather close. One Bad Brad could be caught in a bad spot. Broken Shard moving in, gets knocked back with the Vault Breaker. They should be able to get him this time. There is the Assault and Battery. They're not going to let him escape. There's no Scubachris to save him. And that will be the kill, evening up the kill score 8-8, leaving only 500 gold between these teams despite the Dragon and 2 turrets. And that's simply due to the solid farm coming out from the jungle as well as the top lane. And really a close game when you cut it down to the numbers. Ultimately, blue team doesn't have to worry about the late game like we talked about earlier, because Jinx will outscale Lucian, Treason will definitely outscale Moore, but they do definitely want to make sure they don't fall behind. If they fall behind at any point, then a really solid mid game coming out from Ezreal and Lucian could definitely pressure down blue team enough to just not let them get up those 6 items, not let them take those 5 versus 5 team fights near the end. And that's what they're looking to do. They're making a good effort to come back into it, but they really need to do more if they have a hope of winning this game, because they have them behind at every single point since that very first team fight. That will be the Dragon up. Blue team's moving for this. Red team just really isn't close. They could try and move in to contest it, but they aren't going to ping it out. They don't have any vision. This well-placed pink ward is there to make sure to catch out anything in the river. And this is a really solid place for a pink ward, since they are, they do last the entire game. However, they all are permanently visible. But if you place them here, people don't often run through there, at least not nearly as often as other parts of the map. And so you can leave a pink ward there for a really long time, which will make it really cost efficient. For the 100 gold you get, you not only get True Sight in the river, but you can get vision for more than the 3 minutes that the wards previously lasted. Now Broken Shard's going to move in here. They want to try and keep One Bad Brad down. The Infinite Duress goes on One Bad Brad. K for Kimchi doing a lot of damage. There's Broken Shard coming across, instantly bursting him down. But Scubachris and Treason might have something to say about that. The Dragon's Rage back, but he's going to miss the Sonic Wave. Treason moving in with the Solar Flare. Scubachris falling low, has to back off of this one. Lacy Shadow moving up top. Could have the chance to go in here. K for Kimchi does get stunned up, but has a lot of movement speed because Scubachris is on low health. And K for Kimchi is actually going to look to maybe turn it around as Tabule and more push out this middle lane. Ezreal isn't a great tower pusher. He does get up some good attack speed, but he doesn't have much wave clear or attack range. And so he won't be able to find it there. Treason moving back to join his AD carry. Vasily going to find their very first turret of the game here in the bottom lane. Good map wide pressure from red team after finding a kill up top. But, you know, they're actually going to be in the gold advantage now. You know, they're slowly working themselves back up in this. They're making smart decisions. They're not contesting buffs because they know they could have a really rough time in team fights. However, they are going to give up this blue buff. Moore wants to come across, but misses the jump over the wall again. Lacy Shadow and Oyudan Goof flashing away. Oh, the snare misses. Now One Bad Brad is back in there. He used the teleport to get in, and Broken Shard's going to fall. Oyudan Goof grabs the kill. Used to get excited. The flash and cleaver in. Tabule going to follow the Super Mega Death Rocket. Vasily backing off the end of there. Moore wanting to find a kill on the Lacy Shadow, who's healed himself up enough to not be a threat. Treason just staying in the middle of his team on low health, knowing that they're going to have to battle through some heavy damage dealers if they want to get to him. The Javelin leveling Moore, bringing him below half health and a single ability. And this is looking really strong for the blue team. Moving into that turret, they're going to take it down rather quickly. Vasily looking what he can do to defend, but he has to be careful of One Bad Brad moving in onto him, landing a cleaver. The Javelin misses. The Culling comes across to clear out some waves, and he's going to help defend his base for now, but it's just, is it going to be enough? It's not going to help them win out a fight. It's just going to keep them alive for a little bit longer, and that's really not what they're looking for. Scubachris defending this up top is just going to keep K for Kimchi from netting any advantage for his team. He's farming up a lot, Warwick is, but you know, with this tanky build, he might not be able to find too much later. Jinx, once he gets that Last Whisper, should be able to just cut through Warwick and all of their defenses. Scubachris actually suffering a lot. K for Kimchi abusing that sustain and heavy burst damage from the Q to be able to stay up there and force down Scubachris, but he does have One Bad Brad coming back. Tabule and Vasily working together to take down this turret. Lacy Shadow trying to go in, but getting burst down a little bit by Vasily. Not in too much danger of dying, but definitely being forced off. Oh, Moore gonna get caught up there. Lacy Shadow falling low. Vasily flashes, tries to get up at the barriers there. The stuns layer onto Vasily. There's the Zenith Blade and the Super Mega Death Rocket going to claim him. Oyudan Goof tries to run in here. He has a zap, misses the slow, but there's the stun from the Shield of Daybreak. Oyudan Goof has a red buff slow on the Tabule, and with Lacy Shadow moving in, that's going to be Oyudan Goof grabbing the kill. Oh, the Sigil of Silence not quite enough to take him down. Now Broken Shard looking to move in on the Oyudan Goof, but he gets kicked away from the Dragon's Rage immediately. Broken Shard getting burst down. Can't run in onto the Flame Chompers, but uses the... Oh, an excellent play from the Assault and Battery, able to get over those Flame Chompers since he can't be stopped. Oh, Moore going to fall there as direct-to-camera believed I needed to be up at the base. One Bad Brad going to chase K for Kimchi out, keep his team alive. And with these team fight wins, that is a 3,000 gold advantage for blue team. And with One Bad Brad here as a very tanky Mundo, they're going to look to go for the Baron here. Actually, they're backing off. They realize they don't quite have the members for it. Oyudan Goof and Treason are rather low. Oh, the Culling comes across trying to find an easy kill, but Vasily can't quite claim it out. Now K for Kimchi still continuing to do work on One Bad Brad, but unless he can do that to the other members of the blue team, I'm not sure they'll really miss this Mundo that much. In the time it takes for Kimchi to actually work him down, I'm sure that Oyudan Goof can do work on the red team's health bars. Using that Burgeoning Agony to clear out the minions, One Bad Brad is just going to keep this turret alive. It hasn't dropped below half health yet, and looking at how much he's been ganked up top here, I really don't suspect that this is where the red team's efforts are going to be best placed. They really need to look to reclaim an advantage elsewhere. And it's looking pretty dire after how these little scrimmages have gone. Skirmishes, even. One by propping the sadism. Oh, the ward is going to spot out Lacy Shadow, and Treason is on the wings there for any assistance. The double Trinity Force is done on the purple team, and they could look to go aggressively as soon as they need to. There's the Infinite Dress on the One Bad Brad, the Vault Breaker coming across, going to miss for the connection, but One Bad Brad falling low could fall to the Assault and Battery. If they need to use it, they choose not to, and instead going to give the kill up to Tabulate with an auto attack, and powered by the Trinity Force, but blue team is counter pushing in the middle lane, forcing some recalls out up top, and Oh You Done Goofed going to go in on immediately. Treason and Scubachris trying to tank it up, but Vasily doing his best to defend. The Solar Flare only getting a slow. Lacy Shadow is finally here with the heals. Oh You Done Goofed not getting too much damage onto the turret, and that was Vasily doing an excellent job of keeping this blue team off of his turret while K for Kimchi pushes in the top lane. Blue team is going to cut their losses, go for a dragon here, but ultimately not getting nearly as much out of that as they put in. Blue team now taking out their third dragon of the game, going to continue to cement their gold lead. If you look at where the gold is, it's all on Scubachris and onto, oh wow, Lacy Shadow getting taken low by Broken Shard. There is the True Shot Barrage going to miss out Lacy Shadow there. Now Treason going in rather aggressively, but Vasily dodges out of the Super Mega Death Rocket. It did force him back enough for Oh You Done Goofed to move in, trying to find Tabula, gets the slow onto him, but can't quite continue on. Now K for Kimchi looking for an easy pick. There is the Infinite Duress on the Oh You Done Goofed, but he doesn't fall low enough. Moore tries to go in for the burst. The Ignite is down onto him, and there is a shutdown for Tabulate, but Broken Shard does fall down to One Bad Brad. The stun from the Solar Flare going to find K for Kimchi, but the snare from Moore saving him for now. One Bad Brad just looking to tank up this turret, do a good deal of damage onto Kimchi, but not quite enough. Tabulate looking to snipe out a kill on the side here. He has the damage from that Trinity Force, but he isn't finding anything quite yet. Oh, the Javelins leveling Vasily before he even comes into the fight. But now red team looking to turn it. There's Vasily going in aggressively. He has to be careful that he doesn't get hit by another Cleaver Javelin combo. And that will be red team backing off of the engagement. Defending their base, but not really getting the advantage back. Oh, You Done Goofed just going to go ahead and push up the middle lane. Broken Shard did just tweet at me, no please, not this game. He's had some good roam up top on that 005 Warwick. Rarely looks like he's been playing, even though he has been constantly pushing up the top lane. You can see he does have the most farm in game, being 20 ahead of most other people in the game. However, his AD carry is catching up to him, and the farm on red team is definitely helping them stay in the game. Although they are 3,000 gold behind, they could be a lot more, judging by the number of dragons taken by the blue team. Okay, for Kimchi, going to look to defend this top turret against 5 members of the blue team, all coming up here. Tabulate is still in the bottom lane, has the True Shot Barrage to contribute, but might not have much more than that. Now Treason moving in to tank up this turret. Scubachris going to find K for Kimchi, but he's tanky. They're not sure they want to commit onto him. Broken Shard goes in, gets burst down immediately, tries to assault and battery out, but does fall to Oh You Done Goof. The culling comes across, but doesn't find too much to connect onto in terms of champions. Scubachris claims the life of that turret, and they move up in this top lane. Tabulate has moved all the way up here. And Moore moving into the Lacy Shadow, actually doing a good deal of damage. The True Shot Barrage going to make a dent in that barrier, but not find Lacy Shadow, who has that heal to hopefully get back up. Now Treason moving in onto Tabulate. Tabulate falling to Treason's damage there. OP Leona support. Riot, please. Vasily now running away, doing an excellent job of surviving under these turrets. But will it be enough to save his base? K for Kimchi still under here, the very first member of his team in and the very last out. However, blue team can simply ignore him while they chip down to this turret until they finally turn their attention to him. There's the Infinite Duress, but the knockback, it looked like, going to stop him in his tracks. K for Kimchi almost falling. Finally, Scubachris grabbing it with the Sonic Wave. No member of the blue team has fallen in any of this, but that could change. Broken Shard looking to go in with the Vault Breaker. Makes it over the Cleaver. Moore trying to run away. Tries to juke away with the clone, but Oyudan Goof sees through his clever ruse and manages to take it down. Broken Shard now going to Vault Breaker. Back in, actually. One Bad Brad and Oyudan Goof trying to turn onto him. There's the Assault and Battery onto the AD carry. Oh, but the Culling can only find one Bad Brad, and it doesn't quite do enough. The Zap catches Vasily, and there's the damage from Oyudan Goof. The double kill for Jinx. 12, 3, and 7. Oyudan Goof is a monster in this game. Doesn't need to find CS when he's finding champions left and right. If we just take a look at some of these gold totals, we can see that's about a 3,600 advantage on the AD carries. It's actually rather even in the mid lane. And then the jungle and top are around 1,000 ahead each. The supports, of course, have gold as well. It's actually gone into a Talisman of Ascension and to a Aegis of the Legion for our blue team. I almost wasn't familiar with that art, with the icon. And that's certainly going to help out blue team's team fight, which is already where they were the very strongest, having a good, solid, balanced team of what we talked about earlier, a solid front line from Scubachris, Treason, and One Bad Brad, and then the really aggressive, long-range, hyper-carry bot lane of Lacey Shadow and Oyudan Goof. Lacey Shadow has taken a Rabadon's Death Cap and a Seraph's Embrace at this point, and I expect to see a Void Staff next to be able to get the solid damage. And there is the Last Whisper from Jinx, coupled with the Static Shiv and the Bloodthirster, going to do enormous damage, both with high base AD ratios and with excellent attack speed. Treason caught out here, flashes over the wall, and there's the Baron aggro, but it will switch onto the rest of his team, and Treason will not fall. Scubachris looking to turn it around, but they have to be careful because of Treason's health, and Lacey Shadow, if he can throw out a few more hills, could put in position. Oh, look at that Javelin damage onto Broken Shard. And without a single point of bonus MR from items, Broken Shard's going to have a rough time against that AP carry. Scubachris moving in on the Baron is going to be the first real attempt from our blue team. They need their AD carry in there, and finally Jinx gets on it with the minigun, has that stacking attack speed to really chip it down quickly. Scubachris tanking it up with the high amounts of health and armor coming out of his build, and red team now realize they have to contest this. K for Kimchi moving in onto Lacey Shadow, runs in there, uses the infinite duress on Oyudan Goof, who does get off of it, but the shutdown from Moore claiming his life. Lacey Shadow does get snared there. Vasily looking to continue onto him, has a rebuff slow, but the unit collision going to keep him back a little bit. Now Broken Shard chasing on the Scubachris, not going to be able to find him here. Oh, there's the Vault Breaker through the wall. But without an Assault and Battery, whatever will you do? Lacey Shadow finally managed to escape, which isn't too surprising from a Nidalee in the jungle. Scubachris war jumping away from Broken Shard, who's looking to continue this chase with Moore and Vasily coming in from the side. Scubachris, will you fight or will you fall? And it looks like he will choose the latter. Now the recalls. Oh, Lacey Shadow claiming out the kill on Broken Shard. I know you're watching. I know you're watching, Broken Shard. Oh, wow, the excellent culling coming across, but it doesn't connect for the last several hits. The Ardent Blaze lands, but he can't get in there for the movement speed. And so it will be our red team finding a couple kills, taking a couple deaths in return, but keeping themselves in the game by the skin of their teeth. And as we know, teeth are bones and aren't known to have a high amount of skin on them. Good night, my llama face. And thank you all for staying with me here as it does get late into the night. I put it off a little bit too long, but I'm excited to get in here to a solid game that's lasting quite a long time despite the early advantage from blue team with those first 3 kills. I thought, hey, this could be a 20-minute surrender or, you know, a quick game. Oh, the stun lands out there, but Treason might be going in a little bit too far here. Oyudan Goof has done goofed. Treason falling shortly after, going to be 2 members down here for the blue team. Lacey Shadow really can't get in there and find anything. The health bars aren't quite low enough. One Bad Brad forced to pop the sadism and run away here. Broken Shard, of course, can't follow up onto it, but it's not the position One Bad Brad wants to be in. He really wants to run in, be the tanky front line, and with sticking around, he could be caught up here. There is a Assault and Battery, and with the Blade of the Ruined King, Vasily grabbing an excellent amount of movement speed. The culling coming across. One Bad Brad still staying alive, though. That's what a Mundo can do with a build of a Sunfire Cape, Randuin's Omen, and a... My brain isn't working nearly so well tonight. Goodness gracious me. Spirit Visage. Scubachris moves in on the Broken Shard, bursts him down quickly, doing a lot of damage without much damage in his build at all, and more caught up there. Let's see if you can use the brushy jukes. Oh, look at him. He jukes back, dodges the Javelin, then throws the snare. Going to find the snare in the Lacy Shadow, but still fall. Running into attack range. Scubachris flashing forwards for the slow on to Vasily, who's trying to fight it out. The Sonic Wave lands. There's a Resonating Strike. Scubachris continuing to move on. Vasily looking for that Relentless Pursuit. The recall and Resonating Strike could have been a little bit too much for Scubachris, falling there to the ultimate from Warwick. Goodness, a couple of these are just not quite coming to mind. That's certainly something I have to work on. K for Kimchi now moving in, trying to defend this inner turret, but the health bars are just too high on blue team. They are going to be able to take it down, face taking it up. One Bad Brad doing a good job of that. It is the Infinite Duress, of course. A skill, you know, you use it 6 times, then the 7th, it just... whoop. But that's what happens. And that's why I'm learning every single day to get better. Treason moving in there with the Shield of Daybreak, and there is a Solar Flare stun on nobody. Oyuda and Goof burst down quickly. Vasily grabbing the kill out on that. Broken Shard trying to force Lacy Shadow out of the fight as One Bad Brad just does what he can to disrupt the middle here. Treason falling low. There he goes down to the claw of K for Kimchi. He is looking bloodthirsty, moving in here, finally grabbing his first kill of the game. Vasily working down that white is then going to look to turn back in on the One Bad Brad, who's actually chunking down K for Kimchi quite a bit. More moving in here, misses the snare, takes a lot of damage from the Javelin, has to fall back. The culling coming across, barely even tickling One Bad Brad. I'm sure he didn't feel that at all. Broken Shard going to fall there. Scubachris finding out a kill. Now looking to move in, going to fall back to not get snared up and then jump over the wall. There is the, oh, Dragon's Rage for the absolute clinching of that kill. K for Kimchi now trying to run away with his life. I'm not sure he's going to be able to do it, though. The consistent slows coming out of both Scubachris and One Bad Brad. The recall Resonating Strike bringing him in there with enough range to finish him off. And now a rough looking base for the red team, forcing a True Shot Barrage out of Ezreal just to save this inhibitor. Scubachris and One Bad Brad looking to take this down themselves, and I'm not sure Tabulae and more have the damage for it. With Lacy Shadow coming in here, that is going to be the first inhibitor to game falling for the blue team. 2 inhibitor turrets remain, and I'm sure they'll look to work them down quickly as Oyuda and Goofed and Treason move into the mid lane, push it up. They don't have too many minions with them here, but I'm not sure Scubachris and One Bad Brad care. Broken Shard tries to go in with the Vault Breaker. Tabulae doing what he can with the Mystic Shots. Scubachris falling low, has to safeguard out of there, but that is the turret falling here for the blue team. Now 13,000 gold ahead. Broken Shard can't go in. Vasily does fall. The One Bad Brad Treason is taken in return, but a 1-for-1 in the opponent's base is sure not going to dissuade blue team. Broken Shard tries to go in there. There's the Assault and Battery, but he is in a 1 versus 4. Gets taken down immediately. And this huge lead for the blue team is unlikely to stop anytime soon. Tabulae doing his best to disrupt this enemy team, and with K for Kimchi here, that could be enough to force him off it. There's the Infinite Duress on, but the Dragon's Rage out. Oh, Oyuda and Goof still going to fall there to the True Shot Barrage and the damage from K for Kimchi. The Randuin's Omen going to lock up Lee Sin for long enough that he can be taken out. More grabbing the kill there. The 23rd kill for the red team and the 54th in the game total. Lacy Shadow snared up there by Moore, but Moore has to be careful. If a single Javelin lands, that could be his life. He's going to juke it out. The Cleaver lands, but he does use the ultimate to jump over the wall. And now K for Kimchi going to find One Bad Brad there. Doesn't have his Infinite Duress yet, but it is more than halfway off of cooldown. A very short cooldown on there, especially helped by that Spirit Visage, giving some cooldown reduction. Taking a look at this blue team, that is now a triple Trinity Force team, and I'm sure that Freak would be supportive of their build choices. Not a single Trinity Force on the blue team. You can hardly say they deserve to win this one, but they might be able to weasel it out in the end, being 11,000 gold ahead, 8 kills, and having 2 inhibitors down with a third soon to fall as soon as they group up and push. They have the choice here to go for the Baron, but it might be red team making that call first, as they know blue team is all recalled. They could take this near blindly. Treason moving in there, trying to grab some vision around there. He's going to hope to spot out that red team. And that won't be the Baron attempt from the red team. So if they were to find any way to stay in this game, I feel like that would have been it, but they just didn't quite feel confident enough to move in. They saw trees in there. They knew that they just didn't have enough vision of the map to move in there. If you look at these wards, they have a couple in the jungle, a couple in mid lane, but besides that, they're blind. Scubachris now jumping over the wall, moving on the Broken Shard and more, but falling low in return without doing much. This is going to be a Baron attempt from blue team, but they have to back off this one. Vasily going in with the ultimate there. The culling doing a good amount. Tabulae almost falling. There's the super good fuck up, but he arcane shifts away. Vasily now moving back in onto Oyudun Goof, flashes over the wall, grabs the auto attack, now continuing on the Lacey's Shadow. Has to be careful of the javelins though. Lacey's Shadow going to jump away from this one. K4KMG flashing over the wall. He does not have his infinite duress, but he does now finally have movement speed from his passive. Lacey Shadow popping the Seraph's Embrace for the shield, but not defending much damage. K4KMG finally backing off though, as their base is under attack. One Bad Brad has pushed this all the way up, taken out the turret, and now moved on to the inhibitor, and he looks like an unstoppable menace, taking a Warmogs as well. Lacey Shadow killing Vasily down here. I want to go ahead and see exactly what happened down here in this middle lane, and Vasily simply just stayed around here, but there was a vision from the creeps. He jumped over the wall, but eventually fell. That was a major misplay there. And skipping forward to live, we can see Treason and Scubachris moving in onto the Baron there. As One Bad Brad just single-handedly dismantles the remainder of this base. That is one Nexus turret fallen with the second down to half health. It will regenerate, but how quickly, as the blue team does finally work down this Baron. This will be the Baron for the blue team unless they make a major mistake. Treason falling low, but the health bars on Scubachris and Lacey Shadow should be high enough. Scubachris going to spite that out. Really loving that recall spam. And it looks like blue team aren't necessarily mounting for the final offense, but could definitely siege this down a bit while waiting for the rest of their team to come and join them. Scubachris and One Bad Brad going to stick around. They have some regen, they have some serious health and defenses, and One Bad Brad with that Warmogs is not looking to get pushed out of this base anytime soon, which he runs out of immediately as I say that. But waiting for the rest of the blue team here. Broken Shard going to fall rather low to One Bad Brad, or to Scubachris. Well, One Bad Brad did go down in the middle lane. The Dragon's Rage there going to force Broken Shard out a bit. Unfortunately, they did lose that tanky menace that I said surely couldn't be forced out of the base. And so blue team won't have nearly as much room going for that base. Now there's Broken Shard moving in. They are able to find the kill on the Oyudun Goofed. He does fall in return, but that is Treason falling for the double kill. Tabulae taking that one for himself. Now only Scubachris and Lacey Shadow left alive. A single Nexus turret remains for the red team, but no one is there to take it down. Lacey Shadow trying to defend this up with the javelins, but not finding his target, no matter how stationary they remain. However, this is still quite a few turrets to take down if the red team want to come back. The respawn timers are looking to be 30 seconds for Oyudun Gooft and his support. Scubachris doing his best to just disrupt this team, slowing down their taking of this inhibitor turret, but it looks like they will take out this inhibitor well before Oyudun Gooft has a chance to respawn. Wow, the next turret falls though, and the minions are pushing in. Are these going to be the Winions? The teleport comes in from One Bad Brad, and he's going to win the game for his team. The teleport comes in return here. but it's not going to nearly be enough. One Bad Brad going to win the game here for his team. XDG flashing over the Nexus, but that will be the game. You can't leave that many super minions unguarded in your base. And that will be the game for the blue team, who were ahead the entire time, had a hard time clinching it out. The red team did manage to stretch that out to 41 minutes and 22 seconds. But in the end, blue team really never lost their advantage for long. We're able to push up and capitalize off of the positioning error there in the end from the red team. An excellent game, some excellent players, and a really fun time getting into our placement matches for our Season 4 ranked season. So everybody, thank you for coming out to the cast. It was a very fun time. Remember, if you have any comments for how to improve, make sure to leave them in the comments below. I certainly know today I had trouble recalling some words. It might just be because I'm tired, but it's certainly something I need to work on so that in the future I can never forget the name of an ability or a champion or anything. So, if that's what you feel like needed the most work, go ahead and let me know. If you think it was something else, tell me about that as well, and I will look to work on that as I proceed into my future casts and games. Thank you very much every day helping me improve, and I will be back tomorrow with yet another cast. Make sure to tune into this stream, and I will see you then.